They might feature highly on Shaka's power rankings, but a lot of criticism thrown at Barcelona after, of course, conceding that 4-2 lead in the Copa del Rey. We've seen it before. The front page of Sports says no step back for Hansi Flick, talking about that he's still going to continue with this high line. For more, let's welcome in, shall we, Gemma Soler. Gemma, it was interesting straight after the game. Ali and Craig were so critical of Flick and that Barcelona backline, and not for the first time this season. We've seen Barcelona somewhat naive when it comes to these ties near the end of matches. They don't seem to be able to change their plan to see out matches. Is that something that's being replicated, that sort of criticism in Barcelona?
Yes, of course, there has been. There are concerns about that vulnerability, especially in that late moments. We've seen that on that crazy Copa game, but also in La Liga game against Atletico, against Celta de Vigo, and there are concerns rising. He's not going to change. He thinks that it brings a lot, and it's the best system he can apply to this kind of players. So he's not going to change. If you ask me, I think that there is a between part, and we have seen Barca be smarter. For example, in the final of the Super Cup against Real Madrid, when they were one man down, they managed to close a little bit on themselves. We saw the same in Sevilla a couple of match days ago. They managed to close a little bit. So it's not about changing the system. It's about being smarter in that key moment. And if we talk about Barcelona playing against competitive teams as Atletico or the Champions League or Real Madrid in El Clásico, they need to be smarter in that late moments, because if you look at Barca conceding the goals, the 40% of the goals of this Barcelona come in the first 10 minutes or in the late 10 minutes.
And that's the thing, and Gemma's right. These games get more and more competitive as the season goes on, as the Champions League becomes more of a challenge, as La Liga hots up. That graphic kind of says it all, like 4 games. You've conceded more than 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. Well,
that tells you that you've got basics wrong. And I think we all know what the basic problem is. And it stems from the high line. And
what about what Gemma was saying about how the offence needs to help? How else to
well, if your centre forward's 26 years of age and not 36, then maybe you can say that. But you can't expect Lewandowski at 36, he'll be 37 in August.
Yeah.
You can't expect him to be going closing people down all the time. You're asking for something that's not possible. But what is possible is to organise your back line so that it's not too high at the wrong times. And it's all about getting your line in the position of where the ball is.
Hansi Flick's a clever manager. He knows this, surely.
Well, he obviously thinks that if they drop off deeper, then it's going to, make it harder for the front players to close the ball. It's going to make it harder for the midfield because there's going to be more space. And the back line's going to be so deep, maybe, he thinks that maybe they're going to be so deep that you're going to give too much space to the opposition. So he's gambling on the fact that it doesn't go wrong at the wrong time, which the stats show that it is going wrong at the wrong time.
The thing is as well, Shaq, if you're the opposition, you know that. You know you're going to get a chance.
And that's the thing. And to your point, Dan, Hansi Flick is an intelligent manager, a very successful manager. And while you could accept that early in the season because he's trying to establish his playing style and trying to change so much about Barcelona in a short space of time, we're now, 7 months into the season? Surely the team understands how you want to play, to start games, to get control of games, to get that goal or 2 up, and then when you're defending that lead, how you have to play then. So for me, the most surprising thing is that it's still happening at this point. Those mistakes, well, let's not even call them mistakes. This pattern of play, because this is how he wants them to play. This pattern of play still exists 7 months in. For me, that doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
The other thing I shouldn't forget, you need somebody in charge at the back, and they don't have anybody. Right. You got Kubasi, who's a kid learning the game, and you've got Martinez. Neither of those two can order anybody around, really.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We've talked about how great those players have been at the back. They've kept Araujo out of the starting 11, Gemma. Do you think maybe for these big games to come, as Stevie says, his experience might be counted on?
I don't really think so, because I think he has played 22 minutes in the last 2 games, and I think for the way of playing the ball from the back, Hansi Flick is really keen. He really likes this couple, Cubarsí or Íñigo Martínez, or we have even seen Eric Garcia in front of Araujo, because yes, he's a powerful physicality player, but for what, with offside trap, with that high line pressure, I think Flick believes more in Cubarsí or Íñigo Martínez. Yes, Cubarsí might be unexperienced, but he has brought a lot to this team. And I think he tried to manage that balance, that it's the youngest team in all La Liga, 22 years and something, bringing players like Chesney in the back, Frenkie de Jong instead of Casado, a little with more veteranity to try to avoid that late collapse of Barcelona. I remember that game in La Liga against Atletico Madrid. I could talk to Lewandowski afterwards. He was like blood in his eyes, saying maybe we couldn't win this game, but we can never lose a game like this in this very late minute. It's crazy that 2 months later, with the exactly same player, with Sorloth, happened the same. I think it's a young team that needs some cold head in these key moments, but I'm not sure it's only a matter of the 2 men in the defense. And I think Flick, with the important games, he will stick to Íñigo and Pau Cubarsí.